Hey, thanks for everybody for being patient. We've just been waiting for the last few folks to jump in, and I want to thank everybody for taking time on a Friday to jump in at noon Eastern on a call. Again, I thought we'd take a moment to introduce ourselves and what we're up to today. My name is Charlie King. I'm with Charlie King Coaching, and the guy sharing the screen with me right now is Rog Law. Go ahead and introduce yourself real quick, Rog.
What's up, everybody? My name is Rog Law. I run a health and fitness / lifestyle / sometimes comedy website, roglawfitness.com. A lot of mindset, a lot of physique enhancement tips, and just, musings about just trying to live a better life, which is what we're all trying to do, I think, anyway. So that's where I'm at, man.
Nice. That was really clear. I love that. Man,
Boom.
Here, hold on for a second. Note to self, I have to work on my opening statement.
I just freestyle that right now for you. Bam.
Just ping it. Hey, the conversation that got me so excited about him, that had Rog and I get so excited that we wanted to bring this conversation to everybody who's watching, was a conversation about waking up to your life. And we were talking about, we had this really fantastic conversation about how fitness and nutrition from a trainer's perspective, and how self-care from a coach's perspective are so critical as the foundation for taking care of ourselves. And we sort of it seemed like this really great place to take a look, because it seemed like if it's the foundation, everything that we build on top of it is going to be affected by how we lay the foundation. And we had such an inspired conversation about it. We were like, oh, we got to take this someplace. And so we're going to spend about the next 50 minutes having that conversation. And just to frame it up for folks who are on the call with us, given how much time we have left, we're going to open it up for questions. Feel free, in the screen below, there's a chat window. Feel free to open up the chat window and put any questions you have for Rog or myself about fitness, about nutrition, about coaching, about things that get in the way, or something you'd like to see discussed. And depending on time, we will see if we can get it handled. So, welcome, Rog.
Thanks, man. I've been looking forward to this all week, man. I just love good conversations and see what happens. That's the best part. When you don't have an agenda, that's when good shit happens, usually.
I love it. So, first of all, tell us where you are. Like, other than the fact that we did mention that you do look a little bit like you're in a dungeon.
I'm in the basement. That's where I do all my calls, from the basement. Try to get as creepy as possible.
So if you were going to look out those windows that are in the back, where are you? Where are you in the world?
I'm in Shrewsbury, Massachusetts. Most people from Massachusetts, most people from Massachusetts have heard of it. Outside of Massachusetts, I doubt it. So I just tell people, I'm like, I'm from Boston. I'm in Boston. Because when I say Shrewsbury, they're like, what? The UK? I'm like, no, not the UK. I'm in Boston. So yeah, man, it's a nice small town. We got ourselves a Walmart. But, I just love it here, man. It's just quiet, simple. The people are great.
Nice.
My community's here. It's awesome, man.
Nice. Would you share, from this perspective of waking up to your life, you had this really great story about what brought you to fitness and training.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if you're willing to share that again, just because it was so poignant. You had such a great, wake up call for you. Would you mind taking a couple minutes and sharing that story?
For sure. So when I first started out, first of all, I'm so new to this camera thing. If I look at your face, does it look weird while I'm talking?
Yeah. Usually I recommend that you look at the camera.
Oh man, I wish I had like a picture above the camera of like Jennifer Lopez or something. Otherwise, just this wall. All right. Well, I'll look over there. We'll see what happens. So I was originally, just growing up, it was a lot of no activity, just straight up. Like, I played baseball until I was 12, t-ball and things like that. But really, I was all about the video games, all about not moving, all about just straight up, like, just, nah, if I could sit down, I'm doing. If I could lean up against the wall, I'm like, yep, I don't need to spend energy standing or moving.
Right.
So like my whole, like I had that typical childhood where you play outside with your friends for a bit, but mainly like I'm an only child. So I just love being in my own world. So I'm like reading, video games, things like that. That really captured my attention. So that's generally how the trend continued. Like baseball was the most athletic thing I did
Right.
within I'd say until recently, or until like 2009 when I got back and got into like strength training seriously was just it. So, the whole sedentary lifestyle was more or less the status quo for me. So it was all about, what came along with that. So video games, typically you're not eating broccoli while you're playing video games. So it's like chips and it's like, oh,
Big bag. It's the big bag too. The one you hold on in your arm and you can reach your whole.
Yeah, you got to hold. Yeah, if you can't lose your forearm in the bag's not big enough. That's what I'm saying. Otherwise, you're doing that dollar bag where you can just fit like your fist in there. Like that's not enough chips. So really it was just consistently, that was my standard diet. Like my mom did a great, I remember times as a kid, I'd like eat the food on my plate and there'd be vegetables just straight up sitting there. She's like, yep, you're not leaving until you eat that. And I was like, ah. So begrudgingly I ate it, but then we got a dog. So sometimes I just like take it off my plate and throw it on the floor. And then my dog didn't eat it. And that was the worst part. Cause then I'm like, oh, she comes back in and this is broccoli's on the floor. I'm like, oh, damn it. So really it was just those habits just were ingrained in me so early that once I got like my own car and I was off in college, it was just, so in college, like my diet was just straight up mainly fast food, like 3-4 times a day. I can laugh now because it's not my life anymore. That's the only thing. But it used to be so bad where I'd go for breakfast and I'd go for lunch and then maybe a little bit after lunch, and the same chick or person would be there in the drive-thru. I'm like, oh, I've seen you 3 times already. And then there's that moment where she's like, hey, were you here already? I'm like, don't look at me. Just give me my bag and go away. Like, I don't want to be recognized at McDonald's. But yeah, so it's typically just that was my thing.
Right.
And it wasn't until, was it 2008, I went to the doctor just for an annual physical, and they did blood work, and the doctor was like, your cholesterol is pretty high. So when I say high, I mean like over 300. So typically I'm like, cholesterol, at that point it was like cholesterol high, heart attack, dead. I was like, oh, okay. And then I told my mom, and she did the mom thing, was just super worried. And the doctor was super worried, like to the point where they were going to put me on statins as the first option. Like, all right, we're going to go ahead and skip this whole diet and lifestyle change thing. We're going to put you right on the drugs, which didn't really gel with me just because I went from nothing to you need these drugs to straight up lower your cholesterol or you probably die, which is scary. I was about 21 at that point.
Yeah. So super young, right? Super young.
And I'm like, really? I feel good. Am I about to die? Oh God. It just like kind of scared me. Like I was like, okay. Especially because my mom was worried because, she worries in the good normal mom way, but that was the most worried I had seen her about my health at that point. So I'm like, all right, I got to do something about it.
Yeah. And what I hear from what you're sharing is like it wasn't so much the high cholesterol, because you were kind of like, 21, it's, I'll be all right. But it was the whole idea that, by the way, you're so at risk, we actually need to put you on medication. And what I heard you share in a previous conversation was you got an eyeball on what some of the side effects of those medications were. And that really was a wake-up call.
For real. It's like the commercials these days. It's like, do you suffer from sleepiness, and do you yawn, and do you breathe air? And then they're like, we got this drug for you. It's great. It'll help those things. Side effects. You might lose a leg. Your hair might fall out. You might never wake up again. It's like 50 minutes of side effects. You're like, what? Why would I take this?
Well, it's funny because, this is like a precipitating event, right? Right? Like the kind of thing that's like the knock on the door, right?
Yeah.
And, it might be the Grim Reaper, right? Or it might be something else. But, it occurs to me that most people, when they're living their lives kind of in this unconscious way, don't get a wake-up call until some sort of a precipitating event, some sort of scary thing happens. What's your experience with your clients? What other things do people see from your perspective with your clients that has them reach out to you and be like, I got to make some changes?
Yeah, usually, like, sometimes it is that big moment. Like, sometimes for some people it's a breakup or a loss of a job, or some kind of loss where it's just like, ooh, I need to do this. I need to do something to kind of regain control or just feel capable, because they've lost whatever that anchor was, that large part of their life that was so consistent and so, like, there for them, that they're like, I need something to, even if just momentarily, be like, all right, this is going to occupy my energy and just get me off of this cliff.
Right.
What it is. Yeah. And like you said, that big major moment, all of us aren't lucky enough to get that. Like, I was lucky enough to get, and I've had several of those, a good couple of those moments in my life, which I'm grateful for, because it's easy to just go like through life, and then you get to the end and you're like, what happened?
Right.
What?
Right.
And because you don't have that moment, like, you don't have that big old knock on the door, like the police are like, dum, dum, dum. You don't have that. And if you don't have it, it's easy to stay and kind of preserve the status quo of your life, because we're habitual creatures. Like, I can easily say without a shadow of a doubt, like, had I not had that moment, dude, McDonald's is delicious. There are scientists in labs making it delicious. It is like, even to this day, I know it's still delicious. I'm never going to be like, oh, it's not good. It's always good. It is 100% always good to me. Without that, exactly. Without that moment, it would have been, that was the trend that would have kept going.
Yeah. So here's the thing I love, right? This is so great, right? Like, you either get this precipitating event, and assuming for the moment that it's not a life-ending event, these are these pivot points, these opportunities to pivot your life, to identify, like, oh my God, something's missing. In my work, it really can be, somebody says, it's, we're getting divorced, or it might, but like, we're getting divorced, or you've lost your job, which I love. I love what you're saying is that it isn't so much that people are like, oh, I'm kind of overweight, or that I don't feel I'm as strong as I used to be, but it's a precipitating event, something where they feel like they've lost control and they've lost an anchor in their life, something that actually they can hold on to, or something that has them not, I love the anchor metaphor, because it doesn't let them be adrift.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is easy.
And think about it though, in our society, that everything that my experience is that almost everything is designed to make life easier, because somehow easier is better, right? If we have constant contact with everybody we've ever known all the time, that makes things easier, therefore it's better. And if we can make food fast, that makes things better. We just had a fast food restaurant chain move into our area, which has never been in this state. It's called Sonic. And some of you from different parts of the country may know it's like a 50 style drive up fast food, because clearly it's too much work to get out of your car and walk into the restaurant. So therefore you must be able to drive up and have someone come to you and bring you the food so you can eat there.
Yeah.
That was finger puppetry. And here's like the snapshot of the world. They've had to assign 2 state patrol officers there to manage traffic, because the lines are so long. People are willing to wait for 45 minutes in line in their car to be able to drive up to a spot to get drive-up food. Everything in our culture is designed to make life easier. Prepackaged food, prepackaged entertainment. No, sit down, watch more, spend more time in front of it. But, I think I saw a video. Yeah, it was a video article of how they're actually providing electric wheelchairs in Las Vegas, but not for people who need wheelchair access.
Wait, so it's just straight up for people that just like, you want a chair that moves for you instead of legs. Here you go.
Yep. So everything, right? So, but then it's totally predictable that we'd be living this unconscious life, right? This unconscious life where I'm going to do the thing that's easiest for me to get me through my day. I work so hard. I deserve it. Whatever that thing is that will get me, easier and faster. And what we're unconscious to is that there's this impact to easier. There's this impact to unconscious. And what I noticed too is that the unconsciousness is around putting other people's priorities ahead of our own. Mm-hmm. So we put part of this unconscious is I've got to take care of fill in the blank before I can take care of me.
Yep.
So what is your experience like? What are the kinds of things that people put as priorities ahead of their health and well-being from your perspective?
Everything. It's going back to what you said about just society being set up to be easy. Mm-hmm. I love certain aspects of that because it's true. Like today, everything's imagine 200 years ago. This conversation easily wouldn't be happening for several reasons. There'd be no computer and other reasons. But it's like, that's right. That was a black joke for those. That's right. But it's like, I appreciate that certain things are easy. Like, I don't want to have to walk 40 miles to get somewhere. I like that I can drive. I'm glad I don't have to walk with a big jerry can on my head to get clean water. I can just turn on the tap. Yeah. But I'm appreciative of those things. But it does, everything that's easy you can easily take for granted because you're like, oh, it's just how it is. I when I get up, I assume my house will not be on fire. I assume that my car will start. And I assume my internet will be real fast. And it's so easy to offload because once it's easy, you're like, boop, don't have to think about it. Don't have to be in the moment for it, which is, and we can touch on that later, but that's such a huge part of it. But it's like you said about the restaurant. And I know I can't relate that to when Apple comes out with a new phone, people are in line a week ahead of when the phone comes out. And it's like, well, what's going on? What are you doing? What are you giving up? Because there's an opportunity cost. You're there for 4 or 5 days camping out in a tent for a phone, but it's not even really the phone that this is what I feel. I could be completely wrong. I'm fine with that. But it has to be something that phone is allowing them to do that is what they're waiting for. Right. Because they wouldn't just wait for a flip phone. No one's camping out 7 days for a flip phone.
Well, let's talk about that. There's an opportunity cost. What's the priority that we're putting ahead of self-care? I notice with clients that they often put work. They often put work ahead of taking care of themselves. They work through their lunch break. They eat in 5 minutes at their desk in front of a screen.
Yeah.
Where are other places you see clients who are putting
themselves last?
Yeah, putting themselves last.
Yeah, honestly, it could be anywhere because it really depends on the person as well and their mindset, because anything really could take precedence over your needs if you let it. Some people it's relationships, some work,
an iPhone.
Yeah, I read something the other day about more. I don't know how true it is. I like to believe it's true. Probably is. There's something about more people have died taking selfies than shark attacks or something this year.
That wouldn't surprise me even for a second.
Yo, I get it. It was funny. I was in New York a couple of days ago, and I was walking with a friend, and we passed this group of it was 6 ladies, and one of them, the one that was the ringleader, she had real stubby, short T-Rex arms, and she was trying to take this selfie, and I'm looking at them, I'm like, all these ladies are trying to fit in this picture, so I'm like, you want me to take this picture? And they were all like, no. I was like, okay, all right. I'm sure the picture might turn out better if I get a good angle, but I don't even know where I was going with that thought. Oh boy, but. I lost my train of thought. Selfie. Oh yeah.
Dying of selfies.
That it's when I think about it, I'm like, what's the purpose of the selfie to capture the moment? And now because of that technology, sometimes it's like, are you capturing the moment for yourself to reflect back on later? Or are you capturing the moment are you taking yourself out of that moment to capture it, to show it to other people and just go, bam, look at the life I'm living, that kind of, because before you could take a selfie, you just stood there and you're like, oh, this is a dope moment. Look at this sunset. And all you had was the sunset. But now it's like, oh, this is a dope sunset. Let me take a picture of it. And then I got to post it. And then I got to make sure, tag everybody that was there in it. And then, you kind of miss the joy of just being there with that moment and be like, nobody knows this happened but me and whoever I'm with. And just that kind of being there in it and with it versus like your attention going, oh, this is dope. I got to capture this for everybody else,
Right.
And I've been a victim of it too, for sure. Like it's easy to fall into that.
It is easy to fall into that, right? And what we're taking away is where it's almost like we're more interested in creating an idea of how our life is than actually being present to how it is.
Yeah.
Right. Like here I am out bicycle riding, right? Here I am out bicycle riding. It's, and it's one, and as a percentage of photographs that I've posted in the last month or two, it's like 10% of the photographs. However, the amount of time I've actually ridden, I've ridden once.
Yep.
About taking care of our health and well-being. But
right.
It seems like, we're choosing priorities. We're kind of unconscious about the priorities. One of the things that I have a conversation with my clients when, I have a conversation with them and I'm like, well, let's talk a little bit about priorities. And they come up with a list of priorities and like of what they are in their life. Like, here's what the priorities are for me in my life. And I say, okay, great. So I wanted to imagine that for this past week, you and I was following you around with a camera. You didn't know I was there. It was just a camera over your shoulder.
Yep.
It videotaped everything you did. So if I was going to take a look at that video, what would it tell me your priorities actually were, as opposed to the list you just made? And very often people get this like ashen look on their face. Usually
they're like, oh God.
Yeah. The first question is, were you videotaping me?
Was it after midnight? Hope not.
Yes. And, but very often they're like, wow, I think I'd be interested in Facebook. That's one of my commitments. And sitting in front of screens and cooking and caring for my family,
mm-hmm.
Like being responsible for everybody else. And, and then the question I always have is like, it's like, where do you fall in it? And very often they're like, boop, 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 boop. I'm last.
Yeah.
I'm behind the dog. Right? Like
right.
The dog gets, goes to the spa once a month and gets organic food and gets an intentional diet and gets training and gets lots of love. And I don't.
And I get cheese crackers and those cheese peanut butter crackers. They're like $10, $20 for $1. You're like, I eat those for lunch. And you're like, what? Your dog's eating better than you.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's a really good point. I like that because it's true. Like action, like what you spend your time doing are your priorities, whether you want to agree with that or not. Because really it all comes down to energy and time. Like that's all we've got. So if you're devoting your time to something,
yes,
then that's what is a priority to a certain level. So it's like you can't argue with that. You just can't. Like that's reality. And when you argue with reality, you lose every time.
And it like generally, if we were living these fantastically inspired, just run out lives, none of that would matter because clearly the priorities were serving us.
Yep. Yeah.
But that's not necessarily the case, right? Like what people consistently come with these dramatic impacts of the choices they are making,
mm-hmm.
and wondering how they got here.
Yeah.
Right. So like, I don't even know how I got here, but I'm, like one of the things that people regularly come and say is like, I don't know how I got here, and I don't know how to get out of here, but I'm really unhappy. And I don't know why. And I'm tired all the time. And I'm frustrated, you know, and it's huge. It's huge. And people have completely lost, like their value as a human being has completely become obscured by the way that they've prioritized their life, right? Like the moment you put yourself on the bottom of the list,
you're done.
You've put yourself on the bottom of the list for everybody and for yourself.
Yeah, that's a great point, because that's I can relate that back to coaching, because usually people come to me, they're like, I just feel like crap, like no energy, they have no time for exercise. It's just like, and we can go back to that concept of time, but you're usually in a dark place. They're just like, this is what I want, what I foresee myself having, the vision I have for myself. I'm not achieving it. And there's a reason. I don't know what it is. Can you help me? And I think that's really awesome that I'm able to help people in that way. Like as a coach,
yeah,
like it's so dope. Cause you're like, of all the people, like I haven't checked the stats in a while, but was it 7 billion people on the planet? You know, all those people out there, they come to see you or they come to see me, and they're like, hey, I don't know what's going on, but I could use some help. Can you help a player out? And you're like that feels really good. Like, oh, well, you clearly think I can help you, and I'm going to do my best to actually do that. And, you know, the great part is that I can't in this situation, like in terms of fitness and nutrition, I cannot do the work for them. All I can do is help them and go, hey, have you looked at it this way? Or, hey, where are you spending your time? Or, hey, what does your schedule look like? Let's start putting you back on your own list. Because that's something I found. It's easy. It's just like you're not even on your own list. So of course you don't have time for exercise, because you're not on that list. It's like this thing, work, and then this commitment, and that, and then sleep.
Right.
So where I loved, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I saw your mouth open with deep thought.
My mouth opens all the time, man. Most people who know me just talk right over it. Just
see
it. And here's the thing, though. The people that come to say something's not working, and I want something different, they have to get to a point where they're willing to let go of doing it all by themselves.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's
right. Like, how many times am I going to continue banging my head up against the wall about the way my business goes, about how unhappy I am in my marriage, about, you know, how I'm 30 pounds overweight, about, you know, way we live, or my income, or my job, or whatever it is, before we're willing to say, hey, I'd like some help.
Yeah. And it's hard. Honestly, it's hard to ask for help. Like in my own life, I've run into just several instances. I'm like, oh, you dummy, what are you doing? You could have easily solved this problem months ago or years ago if you were just like, hey, well, let me tell you something. I need some help here.
Right.
Can you? And it, once you do it, it's so liberating.
Right.
Because then you know, you're like, oh, okay. It's like being it's like being lost in the woods. You're like, I could keep going in these woods. I'm just going to keep stumbling. It's like if you pass a guide station, you're like, I don't need that guide station. Whatever. I know these woods, blah, blah, blah. I got no compass, but I'm going to keep walking. What's up, Ranger? Just stay in your little hut. I'm going to keep walking, and I have nothing to guide me. But
the Ranger's like holding maps. And
it's like, I got GPS and maps, and I even got one.
No. It's going to be fine. I'm all right over here.
Like, I've got this shit, sir. Farewell. But then I think it does come back to that point where you're so tired of being lost. You're so tired of spinning your wheels that you're just like, fuck it. Ugh. It's like the concept of surrender, or like you said, letting go. You're just like, I'm at that point where I am open to receiving some help. And because you can't be coached if you're not open. If you think you know it all, you're not able to get any new perspective in there, you know?
And here's something I think is curious. So what, like in this idea of there's this like precipitating event, right? Like, what if you didn't have to wait that long? What if you didn't have to wait for the doctor to tell you you're on your way to a heart attack, or your spouse to say I'm divorcing you, or your kids to get into drugs and alcohol because you, right? Like that they weren't getting something they were missing, or your boss, looking you over for a promotion again. What if you shifted that away from like waiting for that event, but actually step in the way of it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so powerful. And that's the difference between, going through your life asleep versus waking up. It's like you don't want to have to wait for that like cataclysmic event to hit your life, because it sucks. Like if it sucks hard enough to shake you free of all the stuff that was in your way before, it probably sucks a lot that you had to go through it. And on one level, you're like, yeah, all right, I'm grateful that it happened because this is what it's now possible. But I'm not a masochist. I don't want to have to to go through some really, really unnecessary shit to be like, okay, now let me get this train right. Let me get it together. And one of the things I think really kind of precipitates that, and I'm speaking on the, like, after I'm post boom, like the meteor hit my life and I'm like, all right. So I have no real perspective on how to get there before that happens. So I'm like the poster child of like, hey, don't wait. But this is what I found. It's like you have to be willing to be honest with you have to be willing to take that look at yourself and go, all right, what are the things I value? What are the things that I'm not seeing or not achieving? Reaching out for help and be like, hey, these are like, I have blind spots. I like reach out to people you trust. Be like, hey, what do you like when you think about me? What do you see? Like, because we all have those blind spots where we're unable to see our big flaws because we're so in it.
Yep.
But also there are there's so many ways to do that without that big event. And I'm going through these in my head, in my own life right now. Cause I'm like, all right, I can't, like, I like to think I'm a strong guy, but I'm like, I can't take too many more of these big old, like, boom, because they wipe you out. And then you stay down for a while. You're like, Jesus, it's like getting hit in the face by Mike Tyson. You don't just get up.
Right.
You don't just get up right after that. You got to stay on the ground and be like, what just happened? What?
Well, and the first time, right? Like, the first time you ask for help, it can be scary.
Yeah.
It can really be scary. Like, very often people like, and I don't even like the word help, right? Mm-hmm. Like, help has this connotation in popular culture, like you're unable to help yourself.
Right.
Right. Like,
it's almost like pity. It's like, oh, you poor thing.
But it's actually like, like an Olympic athlete. Right? When an athlete is a high school athlete and they're really good and they're on the varsity and the coach is doing great and they're, they get all state or whatever, and they want to go on to the Olympics, they find a coach who specifically says, I'm going to get you from here to the Olympics. And, they because they see something that they want to go get, that they're getting themselves, and they know that they aren't going to, that's not something they get themselves. But it's not like, I need help. It's not like they're actually just saying, no, I want something bigger. I want something more in my life than what I currently have.
Right. And it's that awareness that they're able to see it. Because I don't know if it's Western culture or whatever, but it's almost like it's romanticized. Just go it alone and be I don't need your help. I will just do it on my own.
I would be on a bluff.
Farewell. I don't need your assistance.
My cape will blow in the wind. My sword will hang at the sheath. Yeah.
I'm just going to start saying that in random conversation. Like, what? I'm like, nothing, not related. But it's like there's, and I get the appeal of it because I've been there too. It's like, I'm the motherfucker. It's almost like, I love this, it just popped in my head. It should just be on a shirt. It's like, I'm the motherfucker. Like, I'm that person that's like, I got all this. But really, it's like, you don't need to. And when you do that, you're actually shortchanging how high you could go. Like,
yeah.
just being part of a team, like, I worked at this gym from 2009 to this year, with a year off in between. And what I love the most is just that none of us had to do it alone. There are people on that team to help each other to grow towards a greater vision. Yeah. And I love that word vision because it's so powerful, because it's just like, ooh, this is where I want to go. And a lot, when people come to me, they come for one reason, but they end up staying for another, and I like that, because usually when they come to me, they're at that moment where, like, I just want something different than where I'm at now. And we have to have that conversation about, all right, what would that look like? What have you done in the past that didn't work? What did work? What did you enjoy about it? And we just kind of chisel, and we're like, oh, we kind of refine where they want to go. And it could change along the way, but it's really powerful to just have that vision and know that you don't have to do it alone. Because and that was honestly, that's one of the biggest lessons I've had in my life. It's just that, and it really hit me recently. Was it like a couple of September? So maybe June, July, something, had a really just like visceral moment of that, and I think when it comes to living consciously, that you need those moments where it's not just like in here, it's like in your soul. You're like, ooh, like I just feel what that message is, and you kind of embody it. It's just like, you don't have to go it alone. So ask for help if you need. There's nothing weak about it. There's nothing bad about it. It's like a stigma. It's like, don't just ask. It's okay. Like, the worst that they can say is, I can't help you. The best they can say is yes or no, but here's someone that I know could.
Yeah.
And then everything gets bigger and better from there, because now you got a team or you have some support.
Yeah. Let's talk about what bigger and better looks like. What's bigger and better look like when you get support?
You have someone to it's like just like a teammate, like someone that's bought into the same vision as you, or the same direction as you. So it's like, I'm a big nerd, so I love like role playing games. So I always think of those. It's like, hey, you start off, you're like, I'm this character by myself, and along the journey, you bring some people in. They're like, hey, I have these goals, but they kind of mesh with yours. Let's go in that direction together. And then as you move forward, you just you gel, and it kind of coalesce into like this unit of like badasses. It's like the Spartans, like the movie 300. Mm-hmm. It's like they move as they're all focused towards one vision, and everything they do serves that vision. And the things that don't, it just falls to the wayside, or it doesn't get prioritized as much. So like when we talk about living consciously versus unconsciously, I like to think of like driving home late at night. Like, I've had this happen on several occasions, but it's like I'm driving, like if, let's say I go into Boston or whatnot, and I got like a 45-minute drive home. It's like 1, 2 in the morning. Right. And I'm like, oh God, I'm tired. But I'm driving. I got my favorite song on, but I'm not even really hearing it. I'm driving, but I'm like, oh, I'm kind of tired. I'm like, all right, you should pull over, buddy. And all of a sudden I'm home, and I'm like, how did I even get here? It's like, what just happened? Yeah. Versus being sharp and being awake, and your favorite song's on, and you're singing it, and you're there.
It sounds like you're really talking about presence.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're like waking up, right?
Yeah.
You're waking up. And there's this whole thing that you've been talking about with the way of having a team is like, it's like, first of all, you don't have to do it all alone, right? Like, no business operates all by itself. None.
Right.
Like, you may work all by yourself, but you're using all kinds of services, whether it's bank or office or, online stuff or whatever, that has a total back end on it.
Yeah.
I've done a ton of volunteer work with nonprofits. I was chief operating officer for a company, and I was nothing without my team. Nothing. And what supported me so much was knowing that they had my back and that I had the opportunity to have theirs as well. So,
yeah.
Like, it brought into focus how critical it was what we were up to. Like when I get on the call with my coach, and my coach already knows what my goals are. We've written those down.
Yeah.
Some days I don't want to talk about my goals because they don't seem to be going anywhere. But I know that, like, hey, this is what I signed up for. And those days I don't want to talk about it, those are the days it's so critical to talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, oh God, I haven't done anything about that in a week. And, my coach was like, okay, great. So, like,
what are we going to do about it? Yeah.
yeah, well, how can we keep this super simple, right? Like, how can we just, like, if it doesn't have to solve, fix the world this week, but it could just be some simple steps, right? Like, even if it's just little baby steps, it's moving towards getting to the goals we want, and having both the accountability and somebody who can like be like, no, man, I got your back. Right?
Yeah.
The thing I tell my clients all the time is like, I'm all in. When you take on hiring me, I'm all in. These goals you said you want, I'm all in for those. That's the only thing I got your back. Like, whatever it is you need that I can help provide, we're going to get there. And those days that you're like, man, I don't know why, I don't know if I'm ever going to make it.
That's where you pop in. You're like, what's up?
I'm like, first of all, let's find out what's going on. But like, there's just nothing about you that can't make this happen.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that's
about you.
Yeah. And it's so hard I find that my clients usually come to me when they can't get that message in their own head because they're so in it and they're so worn down at that point. They're like, and you almost kind of have to be worn down to a degree I guess you don't have to, but that's when people typically ask. I know in my life, that's definitely when I'm like, I could have asked for help way sooner, but I'm like, it usually has to come to that point where you're just like, you're down on the ground. You're like, okay, I could use some help. It's like you get hit by a truck. You're like, I could use some help right now, Yeah, man.
Yeah. And what shifted for you in the way that your experience of life when you turned the corner and started getting in shape? Like, what shifted in the way you experienced your day to day? Not the what you did, but the way it showed up for you.
And this is really huge for me. And I think that the people that listen to this and kind of hear it and it resonates in their own journey, or it's something that appeals to them, might be able to get something from it too. But it's just that sense of autonomy. It's that sense of your life is not just, you're not on this roller coaster strapped in like, and you want to get off or you want to do something. You're like, I got it. I want to eat. Nope. You just, it's on autopilot. It's out of your control. And I think the really mentally and physically, the rewarding part of just choosing to work towards better health and fitness is that your results are, it's like a microcosm for the world. Your results are, and wait, what? I'm getting words confused. Your results are a result of your effort, actually. So it's like, hey, you can talk about wanting this thing all you want, but you're not going to get it until you do the work. Like, your body will not change. Your body will only get worse if you do nothing, because that's just the state of, like, after we hit a certain point, like as your kid, your body's like, as long as you give it what it needs. Right. But in our society, everything's so easy that it's completely unnecessary to move your body. If you could take maybe like 30 steps a day, if you could take 0 steps a day if you wanted to, but your body and your mind are going to suffer that consequence. But just
what's that piece that shifts, right? Like, we've talked about what it's like living unconsciously. Mm-hmm. What's the benefit? Like, is it all like, today I'm going to get up and I'm going to walk 5,000 miles. I'm going to lift lots and lots of weights and it's going to suck all the time. But now I'm a hero and I must do it all the time.
Right.
My experience of it is that people get a sense of ownership.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like this sense of ownership about their own lives. Like, they can suddenly feel like they can impact how it goes for them.
Exactly. That's you said it way better than me. I'm talking about roller coasters and not being able to get off, but that's exactly it. It's like you have say in your life, which is how a lot of people feel like they don't. They're just so worn out by life that they don't feel like they're actually living their life. It's almost like, I'm just watching a movie. Say the worst thing that I hear is just like, same shit, different day. I'm like, no, it doesn't. It could be different shit, different day. Right. Because you're the one that's in the day. You wake up and it's like the start of a movie. Here you go. What are you gonna do? What's up? And if you choose, and that's the thing about the habits and the patterns. It's so easy to just loop and loop and loop, and years go by, and
right.
And like, if you don't have that event like we talked about, that can be your whole life, and that scares me, dude. Because I've been there and I know how it feels, and I'm like, ugh.
Right.
Yeah, man, and it's it, like you said, it's just about taking ownership of your life and feeling that what you do has an impact on your life. And by choosing to do that, like we talk about putting yourself first, I don't think I think it's actually one of the least selfish things you can do in terms of not only impacting your life, but impacting the lives of those you love, is to figure out what your needs are, like the bare bones needs, like I need these things, and make sure that those are taken care of, so that you can operate at that high level that you see. Like I have this vision in my head of myself. I'm like, this is what I'm striving for. What pieces do I need in place to bring that vision about?
Yep.
And then I looked at my life and like, man, I wasn't doing any of that. And I'm like, no wonder, like I'm like, it's like a really shitty robot. It's like falling apart and leaks. And like, of course, because you're not patching the things up you need to, or doing the things you need to. And like, once I started taking more ownership, I'm like, all right, this is my life. No matter what happens in it, I'm responsible for it. What can I do to change the situation that I'm in, regardless of how I got here? It's really liberating. And then, like you said, you just feel in control. So fitness that's like I think no matter where you're at, you can do something to move your body in a way that will better it. And that's what I love about it. It's easily accessible to everyone, no matter where you're at in the world, what your disabilities are. There's something you can do. And it's just a matter of finding that something, no matter how small it is, and then implementing it on a regular basis. Like, you don't have to go all or nothing. You just have to do something consistently and build on it. It's like a staircase, man. You just do. Some people take big steps, and that's cool. Some people take little steps. That's cool too. It's all going up,
right?
Either way.
Well, it seems to me that the first step really, and this is the thing, right? Like, how many times I have folks, the first thing is permission.
Yeah.
You have to give yourself permission to put you first. And I can't tell you the number of people that come, that I hear, and they're like, I can't make time to go to the gym because my boss requires this of me. My spouse requires this of me. My commitments over here require this of me, right? Like, and they can come up with a laundry list. And then opposing that, right? Here's the laundry list. Opposing that is how it's going. God, I'm exhausted all the time. I have high blood pressure. I don't sleep. I've got this. I've got that. I've got and it's awful. And these opposing factors that people have about, like, they're constantly in conflict about, like, this is the cost of not putting myself first. And these are the reasons I can't put myself first. And unpacking that for me, is a critical first step, is unpacking how critical it is for us to put ourselves first and give ourselves permission. And there's some impacts to that, because saying no the first time is awful.
Right. It shouldn't be, but it feels like you're like, ugh.
Yeah. When you say no to your boss to overtime, or you say no to your spouse to picking up the kids, when you say no to going out drinking with your buddies, when you say no to, whatever it is, right? Like, how is it that you can, well, it's not how, it's like, at some point you have to be willing to upset and disappoint others, because the reality is that people interact with us like we train them, right? My dog's got me really trained. When she barks at the back door, I let her in. She trained that way, right? And people are really trained. Like, if your boss expects, even though your contract guarantees an hour for lunch, but if your boss understands that you have an hour for lunch, but pretty much every day from 12 to 12:10, you're sitting in front of your desk eating your lunch while you work, that you don't take advantage of that hour. So they can come.
It's gone now. Whoop.
Yeah. And so they'll come and they'll send you an email and expect a reply. They'll bring you a project between 12 and 1. And the day that you start walking out of the building and going to take a walk for that hour, or a bicycle ride, or take a lunch out, or go have lunch with a friend, that might cause some upset. Like, where were you? We were expecting you here. You're only here. Like, why are you out? I was taking a lunch break. Well, yeah, but that's not what you usually do. And we kind of we're used to you being here. I understand, but that's what I need for my well-being. And it's also guaranteed by my agreement with the company. Like the moment that we, and I can't tell you the number of conversations I have with folks online, especially on like LinkedIn, about how awful their workplace is. And they tell me, you don't understand about my workplace. They won't let us take care of ourselves. And I said, and it will continue that way. You're absolutely right.
Right.
If you don't stand up for yourself, if you don't say and put yourself first, it's going to continue to be the same way. And it will continue to be that way until the day you die. Because how you do what you do at work is how you do what you do at home.
Mm-hmm.
My spouse expects me to do this. My kids expect me to do this. My mother expects me to do this. My buddies expect me to do that. And the more you live into what their expectations are from the past or for whatever their issue is, the more you're going to continue living the life you're living now.
Yeah.
And you may find some radical things happen when you start to put yourself first. You may find yourself going, you know what? The people I'm hanging out with, not so much what I'm up to anymore. You may change your friends.
Mm-hmm.
You may change the way that you interact with family members. You may shift the way your configuration at home works, right?
Yeah. That's true, man. And those I wouldn't even say consequences, but they are results of just going, hey, and it goes back to, like, I love what you said about the power of no. Like right now, for the last couple of weeks, like I talked to a couple people, but like I'm just in my, I'm just like, I'm focusing on what I need to get done right now. Like, and it feels good to, like someone wants to hang out. I'm like, not today. And like, and I love them, like another day, of course, but today it's like, nah, I just kind of want to just do my own thing, and which could be nothing but sitting outside and reading or just going on a walk. And it's not saying anything about them because they're a great, awesome, magical person. But I'm just like, right now it's not the time. And that's the thing, like what you're saying is you kind of, in short, you were saying you get what you teach people to give you, essentially, is like you train people to respond a certain way due to your actions. So once you change that pattern, it's like, it'd be like if you were listening to a song, you're like, oh, this is my favorite song. In the middle, I just popped in and just screamed. You're like, oh, what? This isn't in the song. What? This is, it changes the way that you relate to them or they relate to you because you're not in that pattern. But at some point you have to say, hey, this isn't working for me. I have to change it. And it's just that step, I feel like the hardest part is doing it once. The second hardest part is continuing to do it, because that initial moment, it's almost like, like if you're going up to, you're like, I'm going to ask this girl out. That moment before is way harder than actually saying it. But all that build up, you're like, I hope what's going to happen. But I think the key to what you said about that is you have to be invested more in your own life and what you see as like the high, or like a vision, like it goes back to vision, that vision of you, the highest self that deep down inside, this voice is like, you're capable of this, but you're not doing it. Let's start making some moves to move in that direction. Yeah. You have to be more invested in that than opinions of what others will think. Because if they care about you, they'll be like, oh, I get it. Oh, wow, we were both in this loop together. I was treating this way because of this. They were responding to this because of this. Okay. And if they don't, probably didn't want them in your life anyway.
Yeah, and it's like a muscle too. The first time is always the worst.
Yeah, yeah.
It is. There was a period in my life when I was single, sort of 20 years ago now, where I was hanging out with a friend of mine, and we were wondering why it was we didn't date. And we were kind of looking at our lives, and we were both employed and educated and seemed like nice folks, but we weren't dating all that much. And what we came to the conclusion is we just weren't asking enough people out on dates.
You're like, oh.
So we made an agreement. And the agreement is that for 30 days, if we ever ran into a woman we found attractive, we would stop, chat with them. And if they seemed like somebody that we'd like to go on a date, we'd ask them out right then, not waiting, not asking for a number, not sort of playing coy, but literally just like, ooh, that's somebody I think I'd like to go and say hello to. And two things happened. One of which was, so the first time was awful.
Yeah.
The first 5 times it was awful. And my experience was that I got a lot more yeses than I expected.
Mm-hmm.
The no's were the sweetest no's I've ever heard in my entire life. Like, incredible, like, thank you. And, you know, and no, like, you know, not for me or whatever, but like, they were like so appreciative, even in the no. And so that was like a huge surprise for me. And one of the things I had to do is I actually had to stop asking girls out because I couldn't afford to go out.
Good problem to have.
And the last thing that happened for both my friend and I is we both met our wives. And so bam, and the project ended.
Yep. Like, and we're done.
And we're done. And all it was building a muscle. And it literally was. For those first few days, it was awful.
Yeah. Just like fitness.
Yeah. So I want to wrap this up. I really want to be intentional about folks' time. This hour has flown by. And, you know, I think I want to leave folks with like this invitation, like this, as far as we know, you get one swing around this life. You just get one swing. That's it. This is it as far as we know. And it's, you know, it's our opportunity to make the most of it, whatever we see the most of it is. And I just want you to know, you don't have to do it alone, and you don't have to do it alone anymore. And there are some amazing people out there who are just like waiting. They're already in your life if you look around. And then there are people like Raj and I, who that's what we do for a living, is support people. But don't do it alone anymore. Go get that awesome life that you know you can get and have and want. And even if you don't know what it looks like yet, but you know there's some gaps in how things are going for you, don't let it continue another day. This is like a total wake-up call for you. And, you know, because we got your back. And that being said, what do you got? What do you got to close it up, Raj?
Honestly, like that's it right there. Like this is it. It's like, it's not a dress rehearsal. It's like, this is it. Like, anything you don't do now, you may never do.
Yep.
It could, and the price, like the price of anything we do is, when you think about it, it's our life. Like the price of anything is our life. So we can either pay that price and build something that we really value and it resonates with just who we are as people. And I think just fitness is a huge part of that, or we cannot. It's like, there's no judgment, but I feel that when we really do start living that life that we know we're capable of,
yes,
you just feel so much better, and it spreads out. And that's the message I really want to preach. It's like, start taking care of yourself so that not only that you're better, but that so you can be better for others. Because you're no use to anyone if you're worn down. You're not going to be able to give even 50% of your best, you know, and like, we all need each other, and that's it. So like, if you need help, ask for help. Just be willing to be honest with yourself. And there's no fault in having faults. It's more what you do about them once you realize you have them. Like, am I going to act like they're not here, or am I going to reach out for help if I needed to do something about it? Because it only makes you better and everyone else in your life better because of it. Yeah, man.
Nice. So I assume folks can contact you for a complimentary session to sit down and see if there's a good fit and talk about folks' goals. And
yeah, definitely.
And how would they get in touch with you and your awesome?
Just check out my website, roglawfitness.com, and click on the consultation page or the contact page. Either way, just reach out. It does, like, if that form is too intimidating, it's like 7, 8, 9 maybe fields. If that's too much for you at time, just email me. Just click the contact button and just blurt it out. Usually that's the hardest part, is getting it out. It could just be all caps. I need help.
Hey, Raj, I got a question. Do people have to live in Shrewsbury or Massachusetts to work with you?
No, I coach online completely. So you can be in Shanghai, you can be in Dubai,
nice,
in Djibouti, wherever you're at. Just as long as you got internet, we can do something.
Nice. Groovy. And for folks who want to get in touch with me, again, I'm happy to do a complimentary coaching session. I do it all the time. You know, I always tell people, talk to a bunch of coaches before you hire one, get a good feel for it. And for folks that are watching this video, I offer a 10% discount between now and the 1st of October for folks who sign up for a year's worth of coaching. So just let me know that you saw this video and you automatically get 10% off, which will save you $1,200 over the next year. And you can reach out to me through charliekingcoaching.com, LinkedIn, Charlie King Coaching on Facebook, or wherever else
wherever you're at.
Wherever you're at. And I want to wrap this up now. We're going to go to questions that have come in through the chat. I'm probably going to clip the video somewhere in here for recording for those who are watching it on video. I'll probably drop some titles in down below for people to see how to get in touch with us. But on behalf of myself and Rog Law, thank you guys so much for coming and playing and being willing to give yourself permission to wake up to your life and have some fun with it. And yeah, just like that. Hey, let me go to our chat, and our first question is from Christina in St. Louis. And Christina, your question is,